Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first Fallen Fortress devlog, the show where I explain stuff that I did to a thing and why I did it. So, Fallen Fortress is a custom map that I'm working on for the game Left 4 Dead 2. It is a full 5-level campaign that's available in both co-op and versus modes. In this video, I'm going to talk about the first 2 levels and their design. And I'm also going to talk about, like, the story and the premise and inspiration and stuff like that. And I'm going to assume that some of my audience doesn't know much about this game or its mechanics, so I will explain some of it along the way as needed. And just to mention real quick, I actually do have some gameplay footage of levels 1 to 3 on my second channel that I'll link in the description and the pinned comment. And I'll also release an in-depth version of the map to the public. So if you play Left 4 Dead 2, you could actually try it out if you want, but it is unfinished, so don't expect like a full, complete campaign. It'll also be linked in the video description. So, Left 4 Dead 2 is a fast-paced, action-packed, 4-player, cooperative, online, multiplayer, zombie shooter, fantastic, bloody, gruesome, slaughter-a-thon bonanza, where you fight hordes and hordes of zombies, along with some special infected that have special abilities. And could do stuff like call in hordes, knock around props like cars and trees, or pin survivors down, leaving them defenseless. And that last part is where the cooperative part comes in. You need to rely on other people's help to get you out, which means that you have to stick together or you're all dead. And there's also no human enemies, at least no humans that are not turned into zombies, or any kind of enemies with guns. So stuff like cover doesn't really matter. Except in versus mode where it is a bit different. In versus mode, up to 4 players can play as the special infected and they have to work together to kill all of the survivors. And when they die, they actually can respawn after a certain amount of time, unlike the survivors. But they don't instantly spawn in. They actually do drop in as a ghost, and they have to find some sort of concealment or hiding spot before being able to spawn in and attack. There is such thing as cover in this game, but it does work very differently than most other shooter games out there. When I had to make the map, I had to keep all of those in mind, and I had to design it around them to fit Left 4 Dead 2's gameplay. Like how, for example, seeing how this is a fast-paced game that doesn't stop sending enemies at you, you need to find a safe room with your team as fast as possible. Meaning that getting lost and losing track of where you're going is almost a death sentence. So I needed to make the maps pretty linear and easy to navigate. And while I did leave some alternate routes and branching paths, so it isn't too straightforward, I still had to be too careful not to go overkill on it. Or with how I had to leave enough supplies with all 4 players. Or with how I had to leave some cover and strategic spawning areas for infected players in versus mode. And dwelling on that last part, I will mention that I'm actually designing this map specifically for competitive modes like Versus and more hardcore modes like Realism Expert, where friendly fire does a lot more damage, but so does the infected. So along the linear pathways to the end of the level, I left some power positions and choke points in case a horde comes in. And smart players would bottleneck them through or get up on high ground and kill them before they climb all the way up to you. But I didn't want to make them overpowered. Did I make all of them have some sort of catch? Like, for example, most of them are very small, so you better watch out for spitters or you're done. My idea with making it more of a hardcore or competitive map is that I thought it'd be fun for hardcore and competitive play as I designed it, but it'd also be fun for casual as well, because when you're playing something casually and just farting around, it's a lot more forgiving towards poor game design, and you're probably just gonna have fun anyways because you're just messing about. Campaigns like Crash Course or The Last Stand are very flawed maps that are terrible for competitive play in my opinion. But when I play them casually, I still have a blast like I would with genuinely well-designed maps like No Mercy. So goodly designed or badly designed, I still have fun with them. My point is, designing a good map for casual play could just boil down to, just make something fun to play, which only casual players might enjoy. While designing a good map for competitive and hardcore means that I really have to focus on the design of the map and how everything serves the gameplay. And then everyone might enjoy it, including the casual players just having fun. The inspiration for the theme of Fallen Fortress comes from a trope, or cliche if you will, that I notice in any sort of fiction involving zombies, where usually the military or a big group of survivors take over this giant complex and they fortify it to become zombie-proof. You can see battlements set all over the place, there's armories where they store like guns and weapons, storage rooms where they keep food and water, barracks where they sleep, and all that. And in a lot of zombie video games, you're usually the one building the fortress itself. But what if it was flipped on its head? What if the zombies had the fortress and the humans invaded it? The story of Fallen Fortress is that you're the first set of survivors from the first Left 4 Dead. Bill, Francis, Zoe, and Lewis are in a city that hasn't been hit by the zombie virus yet, but the locals knew that it was inevitably gonna hit them. So they build reinforcements around any strategic location they can find. One of these locations was Sanctuary. It was a coal-fueled power plant that's out in the industrial part of town, but the residents turned it into something exactly like those zombie fortresses I just described. And then it hit. All of a sudden, a quarantine zone not too far from the city just fucking explodes. Okay, not literally, but it's breached, and hundreds and hundreds of zombies swarm the city. And you can kind of notice that in the campaign, how it wasn't like slowly eaten away by the virus, it was hit out of nowhere. You see crashed cars and trucks all over the place. A fire hydrant is knocked out and it floods a street that's crowded with cars. A billboard is knocked down by a bus and it starts an electrical fire on a hotel building. A sinkhole is created on a street right above an underground facility, and you can see all these cars and trucks that fell down into it. There's like these exposed sewage pipes that also flooded the area with shit water. And you know what, the whole place just turned into chaos. The 4 survivors are attacked on the street by the zombies. They fire back at them, but it's too much. They run out of ammo, and then it gets even worse as they're found by a tank, which is like the biggest and baddest enemy in the game. So they run away from the tank and try to hide from him into this office building, and the tank loses them. The survivors have heard about Sanctuary, and they thought it'd be safe when they make it there. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, turns out it wasn't very safe. So they arm themselves up and head for the rooftops as they thought they'd avoid the tank that way. They eventually find a safe room on an elevator and they're forced to go back down to the ground. And they eventually run back into the tank, except this time, they really have no choice but to fight. But they have the guns to do it this time, so they do fight back, and they actually successfully manage to kill it. So now with this new confidence, they head back around to the front of the office building where they started, and they get back on track. They find another safe room in a trailer on a construction site where they find the entrance to an underground facility where they thought it'd be safer than the surface. Spoiler alert, it also wasn't very safe. They fight through and they find a cab ride, which takes them across an abyss and to find another entrance that was right next to Sanctuary. There it is! Finally! Safe at last. Oh. 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 What a twist! Yeah, who could have saw that coming? It's not like that's how every campaign of this game ends. So, yep, who would have thought? Yeah, the fortress is infested with zombies. So, knowing that Plan A has gone to shit, it was time for Plan B. Plan B was made like 5 seconds ago. Seeing how it was built off a coal-fueled power plant, that means that somewhere there's a rail system that was used to carry coal in, and they could take a train out of the city. So they go to the train station, and there's no trains left. Well, fuck. But they do have one last hope for escaping. While they didn't find a train, they did find a radio that was in contact with a train conductor. He said he was gonna pass by Sanctuary anyways, but the survivors asked him to stop by Sanctuary just for a minute so they could pick him up, and he agrees to do it. This is it. They just need to hold out for a few minutes and finally get out of this hellscape. And after what seemed like forever, the train finally arrives. They all hop aboard and ride off into the sunset. Except this map takes place at night, so more like the sunrise. Okay, yeah, the story's kinda dumb, but this isn't a story-based game, so I don't think people would care all that much. Oh, but it could have been dumber. I actually originally had an idea to make 4 brand new survivors, like original characters, and it'd be like the beginning of their story. Like how No Mercy was Left 4 Dead 1 survivor's first story, or Dead Center's the second set's first story. Like where it's their first journey through Zombieland, they all get to know each other and stuff like that. But of course, I wouldn't be able to make like 4 brand new survivors, so I did make it the Left 4 Dead 1 survivors, but in an alternate timeline, I guess, where like all their campaigns, like No Mercy, Crash Course, Death Toll, all that never really happened, and this is actually their first experience with zombies. Welcome to Level 1, the Rooftops. You start out in this waiting room. There's health kits, melee weapons, pistols, and Tier 1 guns. The hallway over the other way is completely blocked by debris, so you can only go through this door. Open up, and into Zombieland we go. Now this first room was the cafeteria, but all the tables and chairs that were used to be in here were used as a barricade for that hallway I just mentioned. So now it's just an empty room with a kitchen and this little separator to help infected spawn in. If you get attacked by a horde this early, you can actually hide behind this counter. Oh, also, here's something that's not in the original game. Openable drawers. Woo! And you should be able to find stuff like Molotovs and pills inside of them. Now at the end here, you'll see 2 already open doors, and because they're already open, infected players can spawn right outside and quickly attack survivors going right outside the spawn door without having to bust any doors down themselves. And here's the first branching path in the campaign. This left door takes you outside. Not much out here right now, but if you turn around this corner, you can find a big blasted hole in the wall that leads you into this cubicle room. Turn around here and hey, there's that other door you could have went through. Some of the paths here are blocked, but it should be easy to get around. But if it does still get confusing, you could actually jump on a table in one of the cubicles and look over where everything is. And you could also use it to shoot stuff over the walls. Next stop, the second floor. You have 2 more paths that, again, lead to the same area. You could either climb this elevator shaft or go up the stairs. The 3rd floor is blocked, so you can only go to floor letter 2. Now here's an opportunity to mention a technique I used throughout the entire campaign. Notice how all these extra rooms that go nowhere are completely dark, while the main path you walk on to the safe room is lit up? No? Okay, now you will, because I told you about it. Okay, but yeah. The actual campaigns from the game commonly do this, and I think it's with something with how it triggers some caveman brain stuff in our heads that associates light with safety and darkness with danger. So we're naturally attracted to light, so you'll be naturally attracted to the way to get the hell out of here. Once you're out of the stairs or the elevator shaft, you can get more loot out of this meeting room or out of the boss's office, or of the office of whatever's left of the boss. And in this hallway, there's a bunch of computers lined up for death row. Man, that's always fun to do. Around here, you have another loot room and a blasted out hole leading to a fire exit, which seems pretty ridiculous, but it's better than what it originally was. It was supposed to be just another one of those windows like you see here, but I thought that new players who didn't know anything about the map would have a hard time finding it, even with this lantern illuminating it. So it does look weird, but I do value gameplay over aesthetics, so that is something I wouldn't mind sacrificing. Speaking of aesthetics, most of you are wondering why the map looks like this. Well, I actually do plan on making it look like a real setting, like the official campaigns do. But I wanted to focus on the basic design and the geometry of the level before I make it look all fancy. Like I said, I value gameplay over everything, and making it fun is my top priority. If people like the map and it starts getting a bit of popularity, then I might make it look all pretty and shit. In the gameplay, you might have noticed these hazmat zombies. Well, that's one type of uncommon infected in this game, which are pretty much like a less frequent version of the standard zombies, and they have some sort of special ability. Like, for example, the hazmat zombies' ability is that they're resistant to fire. So if you light up gasoline cans or throw Molotovs, they'll have absolutely no effect on them. And this doesn't really fit in the level aesthetically again, but I thought it was the best choice gameplay-wise, seeing how most of the level is very claustrophobic and consists of corridors or small rooms. So it'd be very easy to shut down an entire horde by throwing a Molotov anywhere. So I thought that the hazmat zombies would keep you on your toes, because the fire can't keep you safe forever. And also because I didn't really know how I felt about just deleting all the Molotov spawns on this map. Okay, well really, I kinda just now thought of it while writing the script, and I actually might consider doing that. Dunno, what do you think? You go up this fire exit, and the stairs to 4th floor, fuck. The stairs to 4th floor, fuck. The stairs to 4th floor, fuck. The stairs to the 4th floor are blocked. Holy shit, that's hard to say. So you jump through this window onto floor 3, the last floor you'll be on in this office building. There are some office rooms that have some loot in them, and there's this blocked passageway right here. Keep that in mind for a bit. Infected can spawn on the 4th floor, and they can drop down from this hole, so watch out for that. But you shouldn't be here long, because you're really here for this. You jump onto these planks and walk across to the parallel building. Bye-bye, office! Now, walking across these planks are pretty risky, as you could fall off or get dragged off by a jockey who directly controls survivors when they catch somebody, or by a smoker who could pull someone off with his long-range tongue attack. Now, when you fall off, you don't immediately fall 20 feet and die. Instead, you hang off the ledge, which leaves you immobile and defenseless, and another survivor has to pull you up before you lose your grip and then fall 20 feet and die. This wastes a lot of the survivor's time and gives the infected time to respawn and attack again. But trying to pull off survivors does take really good timing or coordination to pull off, but it is very rewarding. Now you're on the actual rooftops part of this rooftop level, and here's where you'll find a hunting rifle, the first tier 2 weapon that you'll find in this campaign, and the only one on this level besides the chainsaw that's hidden somewhere in the level. Wait, there's a chainsaw? From here, you can either go right across to the other building, or go up this ladder and then go right across to the other building. And here's where things get dangerous. One thing you might notice the hard way is that this building doesn't have any rails guarding you from falling down and becoming survivor soup. Which doesn't sound bad until a charger's on the scene. The charger can, as its name implies, charge towards the survivors, and it drags the first person it hits with them. Meaning that with enough coordination, they can charge someone right off the building, killing them instantly. Here, there are some slight branching paths, but if you get lost, just head towards the big burning building in front of you. You could go in between these crates 3 ways, or you can climb up here and get on top of them. And getting on top of these crates can also give you a high ground advantage if a horde comes by. And here's the burning hotel building. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. You go across these planks to the balcony and into a room. Now, pretty much all of these rooms are identical. They have at least one bed, a table, and a bathroom, and some of them might actually have something in them. To get up to the next floor, which is where you need to go, you can either climb up this destroyed balcony that you've seen outside, or go up the stairs and— Whoa! Shit! I said up, not down, dummy Ed. Now you're upstairs, and you're most likely immediately attracted to the big-ass billboard that came crashing down and just so conveniently made a bridge from across the hotel to the construction site. Whoa, 10 tacos for $1? That could, like, end world hunger. Francis, there isn't even a world left to hunger. Aw, fuck. Going across could be risky, as you can get charged, smoked, or jockeyed off. But soon, you cross it and go up these stairs. And here it is, the safe room. Level 1 done. And on to level 2, the streets. Level 2 is actually the exact same map as level 1. The only difference is that you're on a different part of it. On level 1, you were up on top of all these buildings. And now you're on the ground going all around the buildings that you were just up on. You start in the lift that got turned into a safe room that ended level 1, except now you're down here at the bottom of the construction building. Not much here, so you go outside and into a parking lot for a small grocery store. Who the fuck parks their car backwards in a parking lot? There should be a bunch of items in here, everything from pipe bombs to fire bullets, and it could also serve as a holdout spot if a horde shows up. There's also this back room area with nothing in it. I swear, nothing spawned in here. Nothing. Now, unlike level 1, there is a good chance that a tank will spawn somewhere in the level, and if one does, you really need to look out for stuff like cars and dumpsters, which the tank could knock around and it instantly incapacitates whoever it hits. And for a proper city level, I put them everywhere. And for a much more open map like this, they can be a pretty useful tool. And it's a much better, if a more situational, ranged attack than just chucking rocks at people. Up next is the park. And this part is almost like a level in itself. So much so that I made a survival map based off of it, where you're trapped inside of it and you have to survive as long as possible. There's a clear entrance and exit at the opposite corners of the park. There's this low ground area under everything that's more clear and wide open, and there's this junction that can serve as a kind of fort. There's firing points, bridges, tunnels, slides. Damn, who needs sanctuary? We should just take over this little kiddie park and live here. There's items hidden around the area, so check thoroughly, but most of them should be here in this little picnic area. And there's also this bathroom, which serves as a rescue closet. Rescue closets work when a survivor has been dead for a while and you pass by one of them. You just open up the door and they come back to life like magic. Unless it's versus or realism where there actually are no rescue closets in the game. You get out of the park and are now in front of this restaurant, another holdout spot which has more items inside, including some tier 2 weapons like auto shotguns and assault rifles. You go down the street and there's a chance that you might run into this car with an alarm primed to go off. If you shoot it, hit it, jump on top of it, or get dragged into it by a special infected, the alarm goes off and calls in a horde to come in and attack you. The car alarm only spawns depending on how angry the AI director is. The AI director in this game controls basically everything you see. Item spawns, enemy spawns, everything. And it adapts the game to fit how the player's doing. Like if they're doing terribly, it eases up a bit and spawns more health items. But if they're doing great, it turns the difficulty up a bit and starts playing rougher. So if the player is doing really good and hasn't gotten a horde, a tank, or a witch in a while, it spawns the car alarm here to keep them on their toes. Turn around the corner, and as you can see, some jackass thought it was a good idea to not install flood protection in their street, so you have to wallow through all this water, which slows you down a bit. Though you could get a speed boost if you jump on top of the cars and trucks and stay out of the water. And here's another split path. Right here, there's a clothing store that has some items in it, including this military sniper rifle in case you missed the hunting rifle at level 1, and a door that leads to the next area. You can go through the clothing store, or you can go around it, and you go onto the Cena van by either walking through the back, jumping through the side door, or dropping in through the top. There's a chance that a couple items could spawn in here, but you're guaranteed to get another military sniper in here too. When I got some friends to try out the map, one of them pointed out that I should make the top of this building accessible to infected players so that hunters can get a 25 damage pounce on people below. And I'm actually pretty divided on this. On one hand, the water could slow people down along with a common infected attacking them, which I thought would make the 25 pounds kinda cheap and too easy when it should be a challenge for the high reward it gives. But on the other hand, there's lots of overhead cover spots that could block the hunter from getting it. I don't know, what do you guys think? And now you're out of the water, and unless a car alarm back there had spawned, there's a chance that it might spawn here instead. Here's that office building again. And here's a semi-truck that serves as another rescue closet. And you could also hold out inside of it. Though, one problem I found out is that this door model can't break, meaning that players would be unreachable in here. So I added a hole in the ceiling for infected to climb through. If you climb on this truck and go up the fire exit, you can actually go back into the office building and into this part which was inaccessible in level 1 for some items. Hey, remember this? Now you need to go around this barrier, and you can get around that in 2 ways. One through the apartment building, and one through the auto shop. In the auto shop, there's this little room with some items, but most of it is this huge open area with this school bus in the center that you can actually climb into, either through the back door or through the side door facing away from the shop entrance. The only thing in here is a melee weapon that you could pick up, but there is this hatch that you can climb up to and get on top of the bus from, which is one of the 2 ways you can get onto this upper area up here. The other way is through the stairs in this corner up here. And through this upper area, you can jump past this truck that crashed a hole into this wall, and you can get out on the other side of the barrier. The other way around is through the apartments. You get up there by climbing this truck and going through this window. You have another kitchen with openable drawers, and an openable fridge with the possibility to have an item. Nothing in this living room, so on to the bedrooms. There's a bathroom with nothing in it, and there's a desert eagle that you can get here. But you're really here to drop out of this hole down the other side of the barrier again. One thing that these two areas have in common is that once you drop out of them on the other side, you can't go back. The official game does that a lot with these points of no return, and on versus mode, they're a big event for everyone. Because if someone gets captured by a spectral infected while everyone else has dropped down without them, they can't go back up and save them, so they're pretty much dead by then. And I knew that people were going to scramble around and try to work around this, so I made both of them have advantages and disadvantages for both sides. The apartments are closed up and claustrophobic, so someone could easily light it up with a Molotov and cover their own drop. Though, if someone destroyed this door in anticipation, they could easily spawn on the upper floor right here and drop through this blasted out hole and immediately cap somebody. Meanwhile, in the auto shop, it's more big and open, so it's harder to spawn in as the infected, but smokers are able to grab people through these grates, so it's easy to snag someone right before they drop down. And now we're on the other side of this barrier in this big parking lot, though it has been decked out with tents and trucks. And it is a big open area that's hard for a tank to fight in, so I put around a bunch of cars to knock around. Though it could be a bit difficult getting around all these hedges, but I guess that could be part of the fight. The survivors try to take cover while the tank tries to work around it. Oh, and real quick, one thing you might have noticed in the gameplay are these construction zombies. It's another type of uncommon infected like the hazmat zombies from the first level, except that instead of being fireproof, their special ability is that they don't follow pipe bombs or boomer bile bombs, which are normally supposed to attract the infected to it. Boomer bile draws everyone to one point for everyone to shoot at or light up, while pipe bombs don't last as long as boomer bile, but they draw everyone towards it before exploding and killing them all. And when you throw either of them, it actually catches the construction zombies' attention, but because they don't follow pipe bombs, they actually immediately go after you and your team. So throwing pipe bombs or bile bombs has a side effect of getting every construction zombie around the map that didn't notice you yet and didn't start attacking to come out and get you. Alright, back to where we were. We have another split path here. You can go around left into this loading area for trucks, or you can go straight through the front door. Both of them take you into this hardware store with one kind of each tier 2 in it, an assault rifle, sniper rifle, and an auto shotty. This door here is shut, so you have to go all the way around this way, and you've got to find the controls and open it. And now you have a two-way access in and out of here. Ooh, what's this button do? Oh. Shit. And here we have the first panic event in the campaign. All you gotta do is hold out for a minute and this door opens. But here's the thing. The door to get outside is locked and the shutters in the loading area are also down. So we can't get back out. But there should be multiple strategic positions about. There's this point which is real high up and hard for infected to climb up. But you are right under two of these skylights that infected can drop through. There's also this one in the corner here, which has a minigun turret that can see practically the entirety of the store, but there is another skylight that's right above it, so you will need someone watching your back. And after it's over, this big door opens, and there it is, the safe room. 2 levels down, 3 to go.
Tremendous.
Now, as I'm recording this, level 3 is completely finished, and level 4 is still in progress. But this video's gone on long enough, so I'm going to stop here at level 2 and save the last 3 levels for a part 2 coming out when they're all done. And that's all for this video. Until part 2, see ya!